Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Healing Myself, the podcast. I'm Scott Hayes, a licensed clinical social worker.
And I'm Shatay Hayes, producer and certified business and mindset coach.
You've just tuned in to Our Revolution. We're on a mission to help our community find freedom from the inside out. So we host conversations about God, therapy, and all the lessons we've learned about how to love, trust, forgive, and affirm ourselves first.
We used to talk about the hard parts of life. Now we talk about the healed parts because that's where true freedom resides. Join us and you'll see that when you save yourself first, you transform your life and you lead the way for those around you to save themselves too.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. Today we have a special guest joining our conversation. This is Brandon Scott, one of the founders of Tequila with Friends, a tequila brand that's based out of Dallas, Texas. Brandon Scott is also the Bruz, root to the Q. So glad anytime I can have a friend on. And just happy to have you join us in this conversation, bro. Welcome so much.
Hey, man, appreciate y'all for having me on.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I got to say, Brandon and I had an opportunity to chat beforehand. So we were talking to Ashley Sutton of Hustle and Hope Cards, and we had her on recently, and she introduced us. So after she and I were talking, she was like, oh my gosh, you got to meet Brandon. His story is just amazing. I think it'd be great for, what y'all are doing. And then when you and I talked, I was like, oh my gosh, we have to talk about this. We have to share the story. So I'm so excited, and I can't wait for y'all to hear this conversation. It's about to be dope.
Absolutely.
Okay, so can I just start us off then?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so you have such an interesting story. Can you tell us about the surprising challenges that you discovered in college? Like what happened?
Yeah, most definitely. So I went to the University of Texas at Austin and had a great time down there. My life was kind of flipped upside down the first day of college. I found out I was a type 1 diabetic. And really shout out to my future line brother at the time, one of my best friends. He was my roommate. And the week leading up to college, I had just been noticing like I'm urinating so much. I am so thirsty. And Texas is like hot as hell. So you're not really thinking that something's wrong because you're thirsty, but so far beyond like a normal level of thirst. And then he really just pushed me and was like, hey man, just the first day of class, just go get checked out. All the stuff opens on campus. So I head over to like our health center, and they're running tests on me, checking everything out, and eventually like everything's coming back negative. Like you're fine. And then they to like test my urine, and then they're like, okay, and they come back out and grab me, and they're like, hey, we're gonna pay to send you to the emergency room. I'm like,
whoa.
For what? They're like, your blood sugar is at 500. And at the time, that means nothing to me. I'm like, I have calculus in the morning. I am going back to my dorm. You're not giving me enough context. So for everybody that's not diabetic, normal blood sugar range between like 90 and 120. So if you're not diabetic and you go eat a cinnamon roll, your sugar probably won't get too much higher than that just because your pancreas works. So mine was sitting at a 500. So they sent, there's no Uber at the time, obviously, but they sent me in a cab to the emergency room. And it kind of starts this process of this really just figuring out what the hell just happened. And you're trying to understand what's happening in your body, how is your life about to change. And then, I guess the additional context, I was misdiagnosed as type 2, and they had a nutritionist on campus that was like, you are way too small to be type 2. I'm going to diagnose you as type 1. He did, and we kind of went back and forth for a few weeks. And I'm hoping that they're right, because type 1 would mean I would take shots for the rest of my life. Spoiler alert, I take shots every day.
Oh, wow.
But, it's been this thing that I've gotten so used to, and I've had so much support and had plenty then as well, including the bros. Like, we're super supportive. I mean, we would get to a point where we would joke about it, but everybody knew to watch out for me. Like, I would have my pro fights, et cetera, that would carry Gatorade around just to make sure as my sugar might go. But it was one of those things that was a life-changing moment. And I remember my mom, I grew up with a single parent mom here in Dallas. And I remember her saying, hey, just come home. Like I'm like, I am not coming home. Like I came here to do something and it's not even close to being done. So I was in a little bit. I'll see you over the holidays, and pray for me. I'm on your insurance, so I'm good. Like I'll figure it out. And that's kind of just how we started. And having friends along the way that were able to like help in, especially as I was trying to figure this thing out, not understanding what drives your sugar low or high, etc. Which is a lot of learning. I used to walk around with the first year of being diabetic. I would have like this little Bible that has all different types of cuisines of food in it, every single fast food restaurant. So being able to like look at a burger and say, okay, this should be a shot of 6, and knowing how to convert food to carbs.
Wow.
That I had to like really learn quickly, just so that I could keep my body in a good area, a good diabetic range. And like one of the things, of course, you do in college is you start drinking, trying to have a good time. And one thing that I figured out was my body does not metabolize a lot of liquors well. So tequila, obviously being the bros, drank plenty of Crown, and my sugar would be through the roof.
Yes.
And I finally have pivoted my way toward tequila, and I would wake up and check my blood sugar, and I'm like, whoa, okay, that's way better than I expected it to be. Like, an ass backwards way of thinking, but it was. I mean, I was shocked. Like, all right, we went out last night. It's probably going to be X. Let me try to get it down. And then after I did it a couple of times, it's like, oh, I think my body actually likes this a lot. This is my body metabolizes as well. So that's kind of when I pivoted toward tequila. And of course, my friends, being great friends and being the bros, would not let me drink. So you had friends coming over to really enjoy tequila with me. So that's kind of like the birthplace of Tequila with Friends. It started from this thing that's like a horrible tragedy, but we're able to pivot it and turn it into something that says, okay, you're gonna do this thing with us. We're gonna figure out a way to have a good time with our friend. And like that is kind of what started our love and passion for tequila. And I would say over the years, obviously, we've done so much more than past that.
Yeah.
When we're traveling, exploring, hanging out, and tequila just being one of those things that's always been a part of all of those journeys when we've traveled to different countries, different continents, like wherever we were, like that was one of the things that was always present, always something we were looking for, etc. So that's kind of how we got kicked off. And then, in just 2017 originally, grab a couple of my really good friends. We are all a bro. Everybody's the owner of Tequila Friends is a bro. And I was like, I have this idea for this thing. I think this thing could work. And originally when we launched Tequila Friends, we're just tequila guys. We're just true tequila fans. We were like, hey, let's launch this blog. Originally, we were like, Tequila Friends will be a blog to connect with other folks that really enjoy tequila. It'll be this fun thing where we're talking about the bars, we're talking about the best X or Y or Z. And we started launching it and started putting stuff out. And we're like, why are we promoting white-owned brands? This is like insane.
Yeah.
To like take a step back and then see if we can go build our own from the ground up, and then incorporate this part into what we do. And that's kind of what we've done over the last going on 6 years now. Is like to build it, scale it. Now we're in 4 states with a couple of more scheduled to launch this year. But it really started just from like a passion project of like just being tequila guys, being a fan of tequila, wanting to share what we love about tequila with other folks and create this feeling and atmosphere of friendship, of fun, exploration with other people.
Oh my gosh, there's so much to unpack there. So beautiful. I told you it's a good story, right?
Absolutely.
I know you have your own questions. I want to go back and double click a little bit. So I love, it's like a real beautiful lemonade story, right? You have this, your life is sort of turned upside down, and then you basically do something with your story. And I love how your village, your people just rallied around you through every part of it. That's really, really beautiful. The other thing I really like about your story is that, some people, when they're faced with a challenge, especially a health challenge like that really changes like how you're going to live the rest of your life, they sort of shrink back, they fall into a depression, they kind of get stuck, they don't change their behaviors. And you immediately was like, okay, I got to figure out how I'm going to live and still enjoy life. So that's like, shout out to you. I'd love to hear a little bit more of how you made your way to acceptance in that way. Because when you and I were talking before, you were just saying how, you were defensive about it for a little while and like you kind of in your feelings. So how did you go from like, damn, I'm in this place, I have this thing, this sucks, to then learning how to like work your way to acceptance?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. I would definitely say for years I went through like a defensive period where it's like, hey, I am not this thing, because people will try to shrink you down to that thing that you're known for, or that they know you for. It's like, hey,
Labels and everything. Yeah.
that's part of my story, no doubt. I would never take that
Mhm.
part out. But like, I am this other whole thing, that this is one small part. And really, it was just kind of going through the feelings. I mean, I definitely went through this can't be me. This is not real.
Mm.
Uh, One of the things that helped, by the way, if your doctor's listening, please don't do this. But my endocrinologist that I went to at first said that he tried to crack a joke and tried to make light of the situation. And I appreciate the thought, but the way it landed was not well. He said,
Mm.
this was 2007 at the time. He said, "Oh, well, if this was the 40s, I would tell you that you have a few months to live, but luckily it's not. So, 90% of the insulin in your body's gone, but you'll be just fine." I'm like, you just told me I would have a few months to live. I'm cool.
Right.
Don't crack that joke.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think by the time I got to an endocrinologist and hearing that, I'm like, all right, this won't be my. I'm not letting you take the pen into my life. I'm
Mm.
Mhm.
It's gonna be a bitch. And it was like there were a lot of hard parts that I had to kind of figure out and go through struggles and have really low sugars. And I've had to run out of class and taking a test in college because my sugar was low. So I ran like find a vending machine to get a Gatorade to bring it back up. Like I went through all of those trials and tribulations and just said, okay, how do I keep getting better at this? It was like an incremental thing to me. Like, how do I try to keep my A1C in a little bit better range? How do I try to get rid of some of the lows or some of the highs? And then, finding other things to read. I've even done, I lived in New York. I've even done like clinical studies so I can learn more about it and so they can study me and so I can ask them more questions. It's definitely been one of those things where I've had to be in the driver's seat and be an active participant to make it better.
Mm.
And for me, it's just like this will be a part of my life, but it won't be my whole life. And now, being married and having a little one, I'm like, I want to be here for other people. So let me
Yeah.
Yeah.
how I can be here as long as possible.
I love what you just said. You tried to pin my life. I had to take the pin back. That's
Yeah.
dope. That's a bar.
Yeah, it
Bars.
is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I think, it is that I heard you talk about, the support that you had from the
Mm.
bros.
Yep.
Mm.
And it's something about the bros. And
Really?
of course, well, no, just seriously, I believe that Omega Psi Phi is the greatest fraternity in the world. But it's because of the experience, right? Where the bro's not gonna let you like wallow in anything.
Yep.
And they will help you figure out a way
Yep.
to overcome whatever it is, give you a place of acceptance, right? And be like, all right, bro, we doing this.
Yep.
And maybe other people have friends that exist in that same way. I hope that they do.
Mhm.
But that's also been my experience with the bros. And there's something to be said about having people around you that encourage you to like, hey, this thing doesn't have to be it. Like,
Mhm.
and we can all do this together. And I think one of the things that we do with healing myself in particular is really about building community
Mhm.
and um, having folks around you who let you know that you're not by yourself
Yeah.
and that you have what you need for the journey ahead. I think that's special and important. And the other thing that you mentioned, like about the labels thing, like not letting anybody tell you that this is it and that this thing that I have is just that's my name. Like it's Brandon Scott, type 1 diabetic, right? And people have this tendency to try to put us in boxes like that. And it takes a lot of effort to like get out of those types of things because people want to be able to attach labels to us. So
Mhm.
I really appreciate that you ain't let none of that hold you down and latched on with the bros and made that thing happen and made something even bigger. I think that's bigger for community and bigger for those folks around us who want something different and know that they can do something different with what they have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I will say, like, just to folks that are out listening that are part of somebody else's community, one thing that really helped me was just the bros just normalized it. They didn't make it a thing. I didn't feel ostracized because of this thing. It's just like, yeah, come on, grab the bag, bring it on. Like this, yeah, it's part of you. Cool. It's all good. Like that's part of your thing. Just bring it with you and normalizing. You're like, okay, I'm not that different. Like I'm good. I'm cool. Just this, there's one thing, and then having folks that are really willing to take an additional 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and just say, all right, in case this thing happens to you, what do I do with the insulin? And what do I do with the stuff?
Yeah.
Like, what do I need to do? And I had like my dean, a lot of other bros, et cetera, friends that were just willing to take a moment and learn, and then obviously be around me. So start to learn what to look for when my sugar's low. So they're like, B, check your sugar. I think something wrong with you. Just check and see what happens. And then folks that are, even my line brothers, like, teach me how to give you a shot in case I ever need to give you a shot. So like doing the things that make that person feel normal, make them feel welcome, and say, hey, this ain't that big a deal. Like, just help me so I can help you in case I ever like need to. But it just makes it feels so much more welcoming, so much more communal. Because it's like, this is my baggage I bring with me. You bring this baggage with you. Like everybody's kind of bringing their thing. But it normalizes it, and it makes it feel so much better and so much more welcoming to the person that's dealing with like whatever it is.
Don't make me cry over here. That's so beautiful. It's acceptance. It's just, it's radical acceptance. And I think everybody, especially me, like you want that. And I think it's beautiful also, just in terms of teach me how to like help you in case something happens. And I don't know, I just think that's just such beautiful. It's even beyond community. It's just like true, it's just belonging. Like, sometimes people I think can equate community with like being just around people. Like you kind of, but that is like, that's true, like village living in terms of I got you, you got me, you got this stuff. That's beautiful. One thing you said before, real quick, and I wonder if there's something more here. You said the bros, you drank a lot of Crown and it did things to your body. I wonder if like the Black community in general, like we drink a lot of Crown, Hennessy, like just brown liquors, and we have a lot of diabetics and other types of issues in our community. So I wonder if there's something there that we need to look into in terms of brown liquor and the Black community.
Possibly. I think some people, I don't know. I mean, I would say in its essence, all liquor technically is like bad for you, and it's one of those things that you do for joy. I think there are definitely ways you can like not add sugar to it when possible. Probably makes it better for you, and your body metabolizes it better. Because when I started to kind of get a little bit more info in it and look around and see like what are actual hangovers, like people should go Google and see like what hangovers actually are, because it's basically how a person feels when they're hungover is similar to how like a diabetic feels when like their sugar's low. So you're kind of easy, and you might be kind of experiencing like a small part of that. So I definitely think there's probably something there, but I would say, by and large, just listen to your body, period. Figure out what works best for you. The sugar piece is like, I definitely think it's part of my story. And interesting enough, like now there's been this huge tequila frenzy just across the US at least.
Yeah, definitely.
So many of it, folks, it's like, oh, this is the healthiest thing, or they'll do like just gin by itself. So like a lot of times we've done events even with like CrossFit gyms and stuff, and they'll bring us in, like they bring no mixers. They're like, this is the healthiest way to have a good time. And it's just it's you want something that's clean, something that doesn't have additives and stuff in it. So there's definitely something there. I think there's still a lot of studies that need to be done, like figure out what's bad, what level of consumption is X and Y. But yeah, there's definitely something there. But definitely listen to your own body.
Yeah.
Travelers drinking tequila over here.
I'm thinking about it. Right? I wanted to go back to something that you mentioned earlier, and this kind of takes us back to like your journey to acceptance. I definitely don't count it as like, I understand that I have a level of privilege. Like having a bros, being in a frat, having folks who and line brothers and that kind of thing who inherently want you to be better. And I understand that this happened to you before you crossed. Um, One of the things, and I'll preface this by saying that I have a man-to-man group where I really try to establish community, build community for men who um, need a place just to be able to say the things, right? The things that they generally have to hide. And I think it's important that we have those spaces for us, especially as men, to be able to say like where the bodies are buried, be honest about the things that we have going on, so that we can get help. And a part of what I heard you say was like I had to tell these folks like how to give my shots. Brothers bringing you Gatorade and having snacks and stuff when they're around you. And there's so much shame, I think, especially for us as men, around like people knowing things that we have that are technically considered deficits or think areas where we need help. And we tend a lot of times as men to like hide those things, not tell anybody else. We want so bad to be normal, whatever that looks like, rather than being able to stand strong in like the things that make us unique and different, and being able to tell people around us that are our friends, like, this is what I need to be my best self. Can you walk with me in that journey? And I'm wondering what the journey was like for you, because I know you went from like being mad about it and not wanting to be labeled that thing to getting to a point to where you really had what you needed. What was that journey like for you to get to acceptance and to be able to really tell people, like, I have this thing and this is how you can walk with me through it?
Yeah, the mad part was definitely step one. You're pissed, and then I think for me too, as I told you guys earlier, the type 1 versus type 2 piece. So when I found out like I was actually type 1, I think I went through this period of like, man, there's nothing I could have done to stop this. This is crap. Like you just roll the dice and just kind of crapped out. And there was a period of time where I honestly felt sorry for myself, and it wasn't healthy. I wasn't doing anything like harmful or anything crazy, but it was just like, man, this sucks again. I took a shot again, or I thought I took enough insulin last time and I didn't, and then now I have to overcorrect. So you go through the periods, and I went through one where I was feeling sorry for myself, and I think there's just one day it's just like, okay, just enough. Like, bro, just enough is enough. Nobody.
You got sick of yourself,
right?
that and just knowing like nobody is coming to save you. And frankly,
yes,
need anybody to save me. Like God placed the people around me, and I didn't know it at the time, but like placed the people around me that were the support system that I needed. So I had what I needed. Now I just need to kind of like stand up and like pick up my stuff and keep walking and keep moving. I think every day was its own little journey. What did start to help me is over the years, I've had so many people that just know me from being diabetic say, hey, I have a family member, I have a friend that's also just found out. Can you talk to this person? And being able to share that story, encourage somebody else new, has been really, really helpful and kind of cathartic for me, honestly. It's been like hey, you're good. Keep going. Like, keep going, just to give them that like word of encouragement. So folks can see themselves 10, 12, 15 years past it. But being able to kind of pour into other people that are now, walking across bridges that I already have, has been super, super helpful for me. And it's really helped me as I've gone through the periods where like I'm working a lot, I'm in great shape, I'm taking care of stuff. And then this period where I'm like, crap, I am very, very busy. I don't have time. I'm trying to keep up with stuff so I can keep myself going. And it's been an interesting turn. It really has. There have been different seasons. I can say that the stages they're not totally sequential. You can literally go back and forth between the stages. So when I moved to New York, this was almost 8 years ago now, and I lived there for a short stint, I had really great insurance in California, working for a tech company out there, and I had lost that great insurance. And I was trying to figure out how I was going to be able to like cover my insulin, because I had taken on this entrepreneurial thing I was doing before Tequila with friends. and not bringing in really any money. I mean, a little, but not enough. And insulin this is before the whole $30 cap thing. Insulin was so expensive, super expensive. And, you know, coming from like having insurance where it was like $35, $40, whatever. So like getting a bill that was almost $1,000, like, okay, all right. And now I felt sorry for myself again. I'm like, all right, this ain't helpful because you are working against a time clock. So like get your shit together, like get it together. And then, you know, I got to really learn the pharmaceuticals and kind of just pharmaceutical system and how to play it honestly. So with the coupons, with the Good RX, with all those other lean into to really bring the cost of prescriptions down. Nobody should have to do that in the US. Like that's not
absolutely,
it's not okay. But I did have to figure that part out. So that swung me back to feeling like it was 10 years plus before when I felt helpless again. Like I felt that same feeling. I think now I kind of recognized it and realized it. Like, don't stay here long. Keep moving. Just keep moving. This is crap. It's not fair. Whatever. Nobody cares. Keep pushing forward. So just be, you know, as folks are going through their own journey, like be kind to yourself. You will probably go through multiple stages, probably multiple times. Hopefully not, but don't be shocked if you do. Just kind of keep pushing back and going back to looking forward. To me, I feel like it was just the most helpful thing. And obviously like having a really great village helps you do that.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, how can I help? How can I lean in? What do you need? Who else can I call? Like what can I do? So like for me, going back to the story in New York, I had a friend that was working as a nurse practitioner in New York, and then she found this diabetic clinical study that I could do. And it gave me like free insulin, free everything for months and months.
Wow.
So, you know, just people knowing my story, people knowing me, people seeing opportunities allowed me to be a part of that thing that was able to fulfill the need I had at that moment. So it's been so many like just God moments where God just steps in and it's like, I see you hurting. I feel you. Here you go. Keep going. Like, and that was one of them.
That's so many beautiful things you said. The save yourself first. So you ain't nobody coming to save you. My God. Like we talk about that all the time. We got an episode, I think, called Save Yourself First. We got one that's like we rebranded to healing myself. So we can teach people how to talk about how to heal yourself first. Right. So amen to that. And then you said something. Oh, don't lose it. Dang, I'm losing it. You said something else that I want us to the linear part. We had another episode where we were talking about how just life, grief, whatever, nothing is linear. So we have this healing. Yeah, we have this idea as a people like, okay, we're just going from A to B on a journey, or A to C, or A to, Z. And actually you're really kind of like this and back and around, and it can be so frustrating. And we talk about it often, even just in terms of like grief or healing also. So like, I thought I healed from that, and then I got triggered and I'm back in the same place again. And it's like, what the hell? Like, when am I going to be done with this? And it's like, actually, you might not ever be done feeling how you feel about this thing, because it's a part of your life. Scott used to say this thing about, when you have a scar, it might not hurt anymore, but it's still there. Right. And so you might still have to contend with it. Just really good stuff. I want to double back to something that she said a couple times about pay attention to your body. I think we've also mentioned this book. What's the book called? The Body Keeps Count, or
Your Body Keeps Score,
or something like that. We need to link that in our show notes. But it's like, can you share what that means? And it might sound like a silly question, but especially for people who might be dealing with this. And the other thing is, you're normalizing, this experience for, I think, people who are a certain age and look a certain way. Because I think when I think of diabetes, or when a lot of people think of it, they might think of like their aunties or uncles or grandparents, right? And so for diabetes to have a different face and a different look, and you be normalizing it and saying, hey, you can actually still live this way and still have these things. It is not a death sentence, to the awful joke, to the point of that joke. But what does it mean? What does it look like actually to pay attention to your body? Like, can you tell us what that looked like for you?
Yeah. One, really having other folks that are really willing to encourage you is super helpful. Like I told you, my line brother actually encouraged me to go to the doctor. I noticed something weird was going on. I'm like, I had to think about myself, like, God, do I always go this much? And just like being able to like take account of when things change, when things shift, how do you keep up with them? Obviously, the basics, like everybody, please don't get a physical if you don't. Please, like seriously, go check your levels, go do blood work, go do urine samples, etc. And then having those conversations with doctors, learning from them, leaning on them, asking questions, making them explain things to you. If you're saying, I am feeling this way, I know the numbers say this, but I'm telling you how I'm feeling, just help me understand. If you don't have a background in healthcare, like for me, I didn't and don't, so help me understand the gap if in terms of like what I'm seeing in the numbers that things are going well and what I'm feeling when things aren't. And just being able to just almost kind of call yourself out on your crap. You're like, something does not feel right. You know in your head. And I think a lot of times we try to justify it or just brush over it. And it could be nothing, but there's no point to not double click into something. Like it might be something. And it's not so much like in I hate to use this word, but like a hypochondriac fashion, but just as something is really odd for you, just make sure there's nothing else going on.
And our people in the medical system and all of that, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, so get checked. And then if you feel a way, something off.
Yeah. Do something about it. Really. Like tell you it does absolutely no good to lie to the doctor who's looking at your results. And I've actually gone through this plenty of times where so as a diabetic, when you go to an endocrinologist, the number one thing they check is your hemoglobin A1C. It's basically this number that is a 3-month average to show them how well you're controlling your sugar. And I remember 10, 12 years ago, I'm on a CGM now. So I have a thing that's tied to my phone, to my watch. So I can always see where my numbers are now. Before the technology came out. And they'd be like, oh, how's your stuff going? I'm like, I think it's all right in the morning. And when I kind of check it, I think it's all right here. And they're like, you've been checking it as much as you need to. I'm like, ish. Not as much as I should. And then the numbers will come back and they're like, okay, so how's the average off this much? I'm like, yeah, I probably didn't check it as much as I should have during lunch. Yeah. And I'm like, I am a lying to a person that literally has the answer to the test in front of them. This is stupid. Like, stop doing this. Because you get that feeling of like embarrassment and
shame.
Exactly. And it's really funny. Like, just have that moment with yourself where you're saying, okay, are you doing what you're supposed to? Are you doing at least what you know you can do and should do? Yes to that. Okay, good. We're step one. We're in good shape. Now, when you go talk to other professionals that really study this stuff and know what's going on, just tell them what you're doing. Don't try to pretty it up. Don't put icing on the cake. Just hand them the cake as the way you baked it over the last whatever. Just hand it to them the right way, because then at least good doctors can kind of help you with different things, whether it be nutritionists or whatever. They can help you kind of put a game plan together. Like, it's not. I think sometimes we get so worried about being judged by certain folks. Okay, I get that, but you're not helping yourself now either. Like, you didn't. That's a period that's gone. That's a sunk cost. That's gone. And now you had this period looking forward where you're still not helping yourself because you're not even being honest about what you're seeing. But just be honest with you first. Like, that's just number one. Be honest with you first. And then same with the medical professionals.
I wanted to tap in and don't think I ain't see you Q sneak in that bridge builder a few minutes ago. But what I really appreciate about that, and I think what I want to do with Man to Man, what my wife wants to do with her business career steward, and what we want to do with Healing Myself is really about having these stories like from the perspective of our Blackness and not from a perspective of like deprivation. And like, it doesn't have to be that, okay, no, like, you have diabetes, you shouldn't be drinking. Like, that's it. Like, figuring out how to navigate. And this is really what bridge building is about for me in our individual journey. And I think with what I learned about it is like, how can we help people who are experiencing these things like that need to heal, that want to know how to navigate health challenges, that want to know how to navigate grief, want to know how to navigate experiences that we all have had without having shame around it, learning how to do it in a way that's unique and beneficial to them, that's not rooted in deprivation and not rooted in you can't ever do this thing again. You know, how do you find your way like through people telling you no, you should never do this thing, and like building a bridge to say there's a way to do this, do it responsibly. And I mean, I want to hear from you conversation around, I guess, drinking responsibly, you know, navigating your health in a responsible way, being able to honor like the instructions that the doctors have given you, and not letting this thing like be a death sentence. Right, because that's what we're all about too.
That's good.
Yeah, so the deprivation piece is funny. I will circle back to finding out I was diabetic. After that terrible joke the doctor cracked, I was petrified to eat. Like, I was so scared that I was going to send my sugar super high. I lost 25 pounds my first semester of college, 25 pounds.
Wow.
And got back home and they're like, whoa, you look great. No, freshman 15. I was like, I was already in decent shape. I am starving. I am so damn hungry. You guys have no idea. Like, I am insanely hungry. And I was like, okay, this isn't the answer either. Like, I'm as light as I have been. I think I got down to like maybe like 165, 170. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, I am literally starving myself. And I was like, all right, let's go back to the drawing board to figure out what we're doing here. So the deprivation piece, unfortunately, I know that one all too well. It's like, all right, this is not realistic. Like, this is not a real, like, we're not going to live in this lane. So as you kind of get to push through that part and start to figure stuff out, you know, obviously you want to test things. You want to, again, pay attention to your body. How do you feel, etc., and kind of just make minor tweaks along the way. But yeah, deprivation as a whole is not sustainable. Like, at all. It's not realistic. It's not real life. It's in a moment you get stressed, you are going to swing the pendulum the other way. You're going to swing hard, and I have swung hard plenty of times. I think that's part of it. Like, just deprivation doesn't help you. Like, get a game plan. Figure if you need to plan out meals, plan out, you know, medicine, etc. Like, do that versus just depriving yourself of some like small niceties of things that you want. Obviously, drink responsible, but the part for me is really pay attention to how you feel as you're consuming whatever you're drinking, and then ultimately, how do you feel in the morning? Like, you theoretically, you should not feel terrible when you wake up in the morning. Like, that's when you're drinking enough or the right things. Like, maybe I've had managers in the past, usually of like Asian descent, that have figured out they're allergic to alcohol, and they figured it out because something about the enzymes in their stomach or something don't break down alcohol. But you know, my guess is that probably other folks that don't know that probably allergic to alcohol. Like, you theoretically should not, unless you're 20 and you're mixing everything and just doing whatever. Like, yeah, you're gonna feel terrible. You drank beer, whiskey, wine, vodka. Yeah, you're probably gonna feel bad regardless. But if you're, you know, having a normal, you know, just a responsible night and you're feeling terrible, like, talk to a doctor about that. You actually might be allergic to alcohol. I think there are probably a lot of people that don't know it.
Yeah.
So that would be one thing. And then obviously, you know, just like listen to your body. You should not feel absolutely horrible. And there may be something that you're using from a mixer standpoint. It could be the spirit of choice that you're drinking. But like, if you're drinking something that's not just straight like cheap fire water, you should not.
You know, that's a good point, because I'm even noticed, and I just chucked it up to age, quite honestly, but now I'm gonna reframe that story and change it up. Sometimes when I drink certain things, and it could be like a prosecco or like something, and I'll drink like one glass, maybe not even get through the full glass, and I'm already like having headaches. I'm like, oh, am I a lightweight now? Like, you know, but actually it's
Prosecco is a sugar. That's probably what it is. It's probably like a sugar rush. Like, next time, like, you have, I don't know, like a super sweet piece of candy, I would compare the two and see if they kind of remind you of the two. That would be my guess on Prosecco, because Prosecco doesn't have that much actual alcohol in it.
Yeah. Yeah. But to your point, even just paying attention to like, okay, I notice when I drink these things now, like I get a headache almost instantly and I haven't even drank that much of it. Or, you know what I mean? Like I feel kind of woozy when I drink this, or when I drink this, I feel nothing. And all of a sudden I'm too much. So yeah, like just paying attention to, yeah, now I'm going to like be all studious and like scientific with my, my drink choices and see what's happening there. I'm gonna ask one more question before we get into the music and the socials. Can you tell us like the biggest lesson you've learned? What has this journey with your health and all of that, and building tequila with your friends? Like, what's the biggest lesson you've learned from those experiences?
Yeah, on the health side, biggest thing is just keep going. Like keep going. Forgive yourself. I mean, to this day, as of the past couple of weeks, my sugar has been running high. I'm like trying to figure out what's going on. I'm like, just take a deep breath. And I have a really great endocrinologist here, and she's like, sometimes you're more stressed at work, your sugar is going to be higher. It's not what you there are some things you can control and there's some things you can't control. So just look at the averages versus trying to micromanage yourself to every single number. It's like, make sure overall that you're going in the direction that you want to go. So like be kind to myself, feel wherever I feel at the moment, and then kind of just get back on the horse and get back to riding. Would be the number one thing. And on the business part with friends, there have been so many lessons. I would say one of the biggest ones is like lean into your strengths early. As you're like building a business, like certain people are great at certain things, let them be great at those things. And then obviously like create the structures and stuff that help us work as a team. But it's like allow people to lean into their expertise, encourage it, empower, and then kind of get the hell out the way. And like that's how I tried to lead us at TWF and ultimately just kind of my life period.
I love that. Ooh, so good.
Well, I want just to dial back just a second before we get into music for the moment.
Okay.
What all do you do with Tequila with Friends?
Yeah. So at Tequila Friends, I am the CEO and CFO, and then obviously I'm one of the co-founders. So like overall, just strategy development, and then of course making sure that we can pay our bills,
which is important. Yeah, that matters. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna
teammates though that do a lot of marketing. We're a small company, so we all do sales. We do have a person that, like my line brother, is over our sales. He's over the business development. And then we have our CEO person that's over operations, and then over compliance. So our COO and CCO.
Good stuff.
Look at y'all, all legit and stuff. And we'll link into everywhere you are. I know you're going to share socials and things in a second, but we'll link to all of those places in the show notes so you can get to it.
Yeah. So I guess our next question is like, we music people.
Yeah.
We got a playlist for everything. What does this moment feel like for you? What would be your music to describe this moment, where you are in life, everything?
Yeah. For me at this moment, first of all, so if you look at the Tequila with Friends logo, you will see an album. We didn't talk about the logo, but you'll see an album in there. And we call like the 4 A's of Tequila with Friends. So you'll see the agave, you'll see the airplane, the album, and the acorn. And the reason we have an album is because like music to us is like the universal language. So you get like we've gone to plenty of music festivals and all that stuff. So you'll see people from all over the world that love this person, that can connect to this music. So music is like something that's super important to WF as a whole. But like my jam that's for me, that's in the period of life I'm at right now, would just be kind of more motivational, more hustle music, like kind of go get it. My son is like, I'm about to be 2, which is crazy. But I'm in this period where like he's still young, so I am trying to like run as much as I can to do everything I can to build, so that I really can enjoy some of the later years of youth, etc. But just making those sacrifices it's kind of like the headspace I'm in right now.
You have a song in particular that comes to mind?
A lot of Jeezy songs. Hustle and Motivate, Nipsey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nipsey.
Yeah, Nipsey's cool. A huge Jeezy head too. So a bunch of joints on there too. Most of my stuff is gonna be stuff that's at least 10 to 15 years old, just because.
Run it up.
Yeah. No shade to the new artists, but I like what I like. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I like it. So we'll add the Nipsey song. What about you? What's yours?
Mine is Bartender.
Oh, you said that.
T-Pain. I'm out here.
T-Pain. And I think I'm going to do, it feels over the top. It doesn't feel as soulful and as thoughtful as this conversation has been, but it really makes me think of drinking with friends, and I'm gonna have to say shots. Shots. It feels like, like that feels like with the homies, like pull up, I like that.
Yeah, that's hilarious. That feels like I'm gonna feel terrible tomorrow.
Exactly.
It does, but everybody's having those moments where you're like, that was a good night. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so where can folks find y'all? Where can folks find Tequila with Friends?
Yes, so you can find us at www.tequilawithfriends.com /buy to see either a store that's closest to you or to be able to purchase online. On social media, we're Tequila with Friends on every platform except Twitter. We're Tequila W Friends because they have a character limit. But yeah, that's where we are.
Yo, y'all support Tequila with Friends, support Brandon and the homies. Make sure y'all purchase. You said there were a couple of states that it wasn't in yet, but I think when we were talking before, if I live in a state where it's not sold in a store, I can still purchase online and have it sent to me, right?
100%.
Perfect. So no excuses.
Yeah.
Excuses are what? Okay.
That's what you're doing? Leave it to the cave.
I love it.
Cool. This has been such a great conversation, Brandon. I mean, so good. I feel so inspired. And I'm already thinking of a couple of people who I just want to send it to whenever we publish it, because it's just good stuff. Listening to your body, drinking responsibly, just how to accept what life throws your way and do something with it. Just so much goodness that can be pulled from it. And I really do hope that you have more and more opportunities for your platform to grow so that you can keep sharing, the story, because it's so much inspiration in it, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I appreciate y'all having me. And obviously, as some of your listeners, if there's anything that I can help with or just need another ear to chew off, I understand. I've been there. So feel free to reach out.
Yeah, I love it. All right, I'm going to sign us off then. So if you made it to this point in the conversation, you clearly like what you hear. So there are 3 ways that you can support us. You can follow, rate, subscribe, do all the things. Share this episode with a family or a friend who wants a safe space to start their healing journey. You can support an event. We got a couple of them coming up, and proceeds from all of our events and everything that we do, a portion of them are going towards our therapy fund for Black adults. So just subscribe to our newsletter. You'll get updates whenever those are happening. And then the third way is to purchase our merch. Rep your healing and our affirmative merch. We got HBCUs, hip hop, hustle and healing, and we got God and therapy on the way, and all the things. And again, a portion of the proceeds from those sales go towards our therapy fund for Black adults. And let's make the choice to heal ourselves, because when we do, we change our own lives, and then we create the space for those around us to do the same.
And of course, like we always say, you're not alone. Join us next time. Appreciate you joining us this time. Just know that we're going to take this journey together, y'all. All right. Peace.
Holla.